Welcome to the Johnson C. Smith Football Review. I'm Aurelia Washington, Sports Information Director here at Johnson C. Smith. This isn't your typical football game coverage. We're taking you behind the scenes. We'll talk to players, hear from Coach Flowers, and shine a light on what's happening right now with Golden Bulls football. Football is always an exciting time here at JCSU, and this year is no different. After an incredible 8-2 season in 2024, our best since 1975, it's time to see reloading faces and joining the program. But let's take a look at this year's CIAA preseason poll. At number 1, Virginia Union. Number 2, Johnson C. Smith. Number 3, Virginia State University. Number 4, Fayetteville State University. At 5, Winston-Salem State University. Number 6, Bowie State University. Number 7, Livingstone College. Number 8, Shaw University. Number 9, Elizabeth City State University. Number 10, Lincoln University. And 11, Bluefield State University. Let's take a look at this year's 2025 schedule. The Golden Bulls took on Morehouse College in Boston as the Golden Bulls defeated the Maroon Tigers 48-10. Last week, Valdosta State came into Irwin Bell Complex as the 14th ranked team in the nation. However, the Golden Bulls defeated the Blazers 28-16. Weeks 3 and 4 are road games as the Golden Bulls take on Elizabeth City State and Virginia Union. Week 5 is homecoming as the Golden Bulls come back and take on Bluefield State. Week 6 and 7, back on the road, take on Virginia State and Shaw University. Week 8, back home against Winston-Salem State. Week 9, Fayetteville State. And Week 10 is the season finale in the Commemorative Classic against Livingstone College. This year's team will look very different with 11 enrollees, 16 signees, and 20 transfers. One of the most talked about additions as this year's transfer quarterback from Fort Valley State is Kelvin Durham, a player Coach Flowers is especially excited about. The quarterback position is crucial, and Coach has built a reputation for developing high-powered passing offense. On the defensive side, we've added depth both up front and the secondary. Another notable move is Corvarius Crouch, who's transitioning back to linebacker after previously playing running back. We're also replacing two-time All-CIAA talents Jack Smith and Benari Black. Big shoes to fill, but with the staff has brought in experienced players ready to set up. I recently had an opportunity to sit down with Coach Flowers in an interview. I'm Aurelia Washington, Sports Information Director here at Johnson C. Smith University. I'm joined by head coach Maurice Flowers. Coach Flowers, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Coach Flowers, this spring, you brought in a bunch of new faces. Kind of talk about those young men you brought in.
Well, we had to replace some guys that have been very valuable to the football program, starting with Jack Smith, linebacker, Benari Black. Guys were all CIAA for the Golden Bulls and helping us build this program. And then on the offensive side, we graduated 4 offensive linemen. So the focus was on those areas, and we'll start with Brendan Arrington from Tuskegee University, brought in a receiver from Tuskegee, and Reggie Brigham. And then on the defensive side, we brought some more defensive linemen in, like we needed more of them, but we did. And just to come in and add to learn our culture and learn our core values and keep building this thing.
Now, offensively, you brought in Kelvin Durham from Fort Valley State. Kind of talk about that young man.
Well, I tell you, he's a young man that I say I've known him for a while. I recruited him when we were at Fort Valley State. He was a high school quarterback out of Miami South-Dade, and actually with COVID, we were actually together for 2 seasons. So it's not like we're strangers. Recruited him, known his family, and so when he was in the portal, it was a no-brainer for us. But it's not often that you're able to get a quarterback that's the all-time leader in a school's history, and he's the all-time leader in passing at Fort Valley State. He's a winner. He's been 8-2, 7-3 there as a starter, and we look for him to come in and just help us keep building this thing and getting us to where we want to be.
Now, Coach, you've been here for 4 years, and you have a lot of day one. Do you see the leadership emerging in this group?
That's the strength of our football team right now. We said that when we first started in 2022, we were definitely a coach-led team. And we said when we make the transition from being a coach-led team to a player-led team, that's when we were going to really take the biggest steps. we have what we call day one guys, and those day one guys are the young men that were part of our first recruiting class, and we've got a number of them in the program. And then you add to it a quarterback. A quarterback naturally is a leader, and Kelvin Durham is a leader, and so he comes in, and I can't call him a day one guy, so what I call him is a ground zero guy, because ground zero is like he's there before we started. So to bring him in and his leadership, and to add to it with our day one guys, I really like the direction that we're heading with our guys able to lead on the field and off the field.
Now, even though you're a former quarterback,
yes,
and you talked about Kelvin Durham, you brought in other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Now, kind of talk about those quarterbacks.
Well, we brought in a very good high school quarterback. He was an early enrollee, came to us in January, Trooper Floyd from Chester High School. And it just really, I want to talk about that a quick second, because it really talks to what we're doing at JCSU. You don't find many Division II programs that have people enroll mid-year. Most of the time that's reserved for FBS programs, but we're just very glad that we present a product that young men would want to graduate and come early. And he's coming at a good time. He has an opportunity to learn from the older quarterbacks. And then we brought in a quarterback that was outstanding high school quarterback at Greensboro Dudley, won a state championship, Andrew Atmore. He was at Lenore-Ryan, where he was a backup, and now he's transferred into us. Been a very positive addition to the quarterback room.
Now, Coach, you have your staff.
Yes.
They've been with you for 4 years, some 3, 2 new ones. Kind of talk about your staff. What consistency has helped build that roster?
That our success is directly related to our staff. That staff continuity really is what puts us ahead of a lot of other staffs. We have not changed coordinators since we've been here. We've got coaches that have been here going to their 4th year, and we have coaches that are going into their 3rd year. And really our consistency as a staff, the verbiage is the same. We've got situations that come up, we've been there, done that. And I tell you, it starts with our defensive coordinator, Barry Tripp. That's my guy. We competed against each other when he was a player at Winston and I was the OC at JCSU. And Coach Tripp is a guy, man. He leads us. He's been the defensive coordinator when I was at Fort Valley, and he came here to JCSU. And it was tough for him to put on this blue and gold, this gold and blue. It's tough with him being a Ram, and I have to watch him whenever we play Winston to know where his loyalty lies. But Coach Tripp is he's a ring leader. We had the #1 defense in the country in 23, #6 in 24, and we're looking to have another stellar year. And staying on the defensive side, we've got Coach David Bowser, our linebackers coach, who we worked together at Fayetteville State. He and I and Coach Tripp, and Coach Bowser, he's also been a head coach. And so a head coach in the CIAA and an athletic director, so his experience is invaluable. And then Coach James Lott, he won a championship at Fayetteville State, and he's our defensive backs coach and special teams coordinator. And then Coach Fly, I call him a glue guy. He's been here, this is his 4th year. Coach Fly is our strength and conditioning coach and our D-line coach, and he does great things with our program on and off the field. And Coach Worthington's been here since day one. He's our secondary coach, our safeties coach, and also our academic success coach, which is really important to the program. And flipping over to the offensive side, Bear, Coach Thompson, he's in his 3rd stint at JCSU, and I told him this is going to be your best one. And so Coach Thompson is our offensive line coach and run game coordinator. Coach Heaston is going into his 3rd year, our receivers coach, came to us from an outstanding program in Indianapolis. Tight ends coach, Coach Chambers, comes to us with experience from Fork Union, one of the top prep schools in the country, and he's going into his 3rd year with us. And then running backs coach, Coach Freddie Brown, was with us our 1st year, then went to high school and won some state championships at Providence Day. And I ended up with our quarterback coach, a co-OC, Coach Tyrell Jackson. Coach Jackson was a player for us. He and Kelvin Durham have history. Kelvin Durham and Jackson were part of the first recruiting class at Fort Valley. Jackson came at mid-year, and then we recruited Kelvin Durham, and those guys were in the same quarterback room. And so when we came to Johnson C. Smith, Kelvin Durham said, "I'm not coming, I'm staying," because Jackson's going there. And he's like, "I'm staying at Fort Valley, I'm gonna be a starter." And he was for 3 years, and Jackson was here, outstanding quarterback, and transitioned to be a full-time coach. And wouldn't you know it, former teammates are now coach, player. So that's our staff, and it just brings us continuity.
Well, Coach, I appreciate that. We're going to wrap this up, this interview for today. But, Coach, thank you for joining me. And check back more for updates as we get ready for kickoff. Thank you, Coach Flowers, for joining us, and thank you, JCSU Golden Bulls fans, for joining us. See you right back here next week.